Good morning. My name is Claire.
And I'm Kathryn.
And welcome to our turkey farm just outside of Norwich, Ontario. It's a warm day, and we look forward to taking you on a bit of a tour of what goes on our turkey farm.
Yeah, so bear with us. We've never done this before, so hopefully we'll figure it out as we go, and hopefully we get some good questions. Please just write your questions in the box below, and we'll do our best to answer them and go from there.
Sounds good. We basically will literally start you off literally from the road here. We always are passionate about turkeys and what goes on our farm. And with that being said, we have our turkey mailbox here that mimics our barn. So let's go in, Kathryn, and we'll take you on a tour.
Okay, let me just turn this around here. Looks like we've got some followers. Hi, good morning. So, Claire, where are you taking us?
So let's go into the farm. And so this is a family operation that Kathryn and I live here. We've owned this farm since 2006. And we live here with our 4 daughters, and our daughters are Carmen, Sophia, Charlotte, and Adele. Carmen is 10, Sophia is 8, Charlotte is 6, and Adele is 2 years old. And our farm, as you can tell...
So they say that they love the mailbox, and we've got to give a shout out to our neighbor Dave, actually, that welded that mailbox for us for a celebration in our family. So we're very happy about that, so thanks.
So this is our farm yard. So like most farms in Ontario, this is a family farm, and so we live on our farm, we work on our farm, and our house here is in front of our barn. So let's go up the driveway.
So bear with us. Like most or some farms, the laneway is long. It's not nearly as long as some, but...
And we're just going to give a minute for people to log in and have a chance to tour our farm live. And so our evolution is that Kathryn and I are both raised in an agricultural background. We're both graduates from the University of Guelph. We're passionate about agriculture. And our farm here is in an area in which I grew up. And my family lives just down the road here. Kathryn's family is from just a couple hours east of here. And we've combined our skill set and love for agriculture on our farm here today.
Okay, so Claire, where are you taking us, I guess, and what is it that we're doing? Maybe you could recap that, because we've had quite a few more people join us.
Yeah, so this is our farm, and as we approach the farmyard here, I think it's always important to look out of how the farm is set up. And one of the things that we want to point out is it's something that we all take for granted, but it's our power source. And so this is our standby generator right here, Kathryn.
Okay, so let's take a look at the standby generator here on our turkey farm. Kaylee says hello to Claire and Kathryn, and that she's excited for the tour, so welcome, Kaylee.
And so one of the things that is important here is that is how our animals are raised, and we want to make sure that they have access to great quality air, great quality environment. And this standby generator is very important for our farm because it ensures 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter the weather, the sunshine, what's going on. Our animals have access to electricity. They have access to what's going on in terms of having feed. A simple piece of equipment, but perhaps one of the most important pieces of equipment that we have on our farm here today.
So Claire was just talking about the importance of always having power to our farm and showing us
visitors or unnecessary or unwanted guests from visiting our farm, because it's very important that our animals are always kept healthy and that they only have necessary visitors, which are really people like myself, the farmer, the people that work with us, including our veterinarian, family members, and so forth that way. And that's why we're happy to be able to take you behind these signs here, because as much as you don't get a chance to actually visit a farm in person, we are pretty passionate about what goes on behind these doors, because we're in the business of producing food for you and your families to eat, much like it's the food that our families eat every day.
So just pausing there, hi to some of the other joiners that have joined us today. So we're taking on a tour of our family turkey farm. This is Claire that you can see, and I'm behind the camera here, Kathryn. So we both farm together with our family, our 4 girls. So hi to some of the folks that have just joined us. If you have a question, please just type it in and we'll be sure to answer along the way and go from there.
So progressing up in our farmyard here, to my right here, we have our drive shed. So this is where we store any equipment that we have, where we have a shop to repair any of our farm equipment, but more importantly, it's also where we store our straw, and that's really is our fresh bedding that we like to keep for our birds. And that straw has been produced on our farm here and is usually harvested from soft red winter wheat, and that's usually harvested in and around July or early August.
So we have a couple questions. I'll flip back around here so we can see both of us. And we've had a very important question, Claire. It's about our shirts. It's a very lovely. We definitely have some fun with them. To answer your question, where can we get this amazing shirt that says "Talk Turkey to Me"?
Well, I definitely recommend you talk to Emily, who is our marketing representative at Turkey Farmers of Ontario. And the reason that Kathryn and I got these shirts is that we like to talk about what goes on in our farm. We like to talk to consumers and people that don't know about what happens at our operation, because really it's about sharing how we grow turkeys, how our turkeys live. And we got these from going to the Royal Winter Fair last November to talk to the public and lots of school kids just around questions that they may have had with regards to turkey farming. And hence where we got these shirts, and we thought, well, we have to pull them out today as we're talking more about our family and our farm.
Yeah, I think just to reiterate, we're really passionate about trying to answer the questions. We're here, we're a family farm operation. We have 4 young girls. And we're just trying to help people understand what goes on, obviously, in a turkey operation, that we are real people. This is what farmers look like. And that if you have questions, reach out and ask, because turkey farmers, how many of us are there in Ontario?
So in Ontario, there's about 165 farm families like ourselves. In all of Canada, there's about 530 people that are involved in growing turkeys. So in terms of farm numbers, we're relatively a small group of farmers. However, what goes on our farm feeds, the vast number of Canadians here. And so on our farm, we grow heavy tom turkeys. So these are the male or the boy birds that are grown on our farm. We have a 2-stage production system. So we have actually 2 barns on our farm. And so, Kathryn, I think we should go into our first barn. Now, our first barn is where the birds come in when they are hatched that particular day. They spend about 4.5 weeks in this barn, and it is a really tightly controlled environment. The turkeys really want to be very, very warm, and they want to have plentiful access to feed and fresh water. Now today on our farm, we don't have any young birds on the site. However, we do have the barn, which is actually being washed. And so let's go in and have a look, and you can at least get a sense of what this particular barn looks like.
Sure, perfect. The one question that was asked just as we're going along here, Claire, was where are turkeys sold? Do we sell them to neighbors, local community, through the store? Our awesome rural internet Wi-Fi is kicking in and out here, so please be patient with us. So where can you buy turkey in Ontario and in obviously Canada?
Well, the good news is that if you're buying turkey anywhere in Canada, you are probably guaranteed to be buying Canadian turkey. So that is first and foremost. Our turkey that we grow on our farm here is actually sold to a company called Sofina Foods, and most of our turkey is actually cut up and sold into different products. So if you enjoy your turkey by way of burgers or turkey strips or deli meat on your sandwiches, that's how our turkey ends up getting used. Most turkey that is grown and sold off of farms, much like ourselves here in Ontario, ends up going to somewhere that is able to prepare it and put it in a format that is appealing to yourself as a consumer.
So really, think turkey is what he's trying to say. cook with turkey, make sure that you look for turkey. And number one, when you're in a store, ask your meat managers to have turkey on the grocery store shelves, because that's how you can help us as farmers, is to ask the questions at the grocery store level.
So come in here. This is what we call our barn number one. So this is our brooding barn. A smaller barn.
We might struggle here with internet, just so you know.
And so what barn washed, and so this is something that's very important, is the cleanliness of our operation. And so these turkeys want to come into a very clean environment that is comfortable. And we actually have two neighbor boys, Robert and Stephen, who have come to help us today with the washing of the barn and getting things ready, because we will be putting our next flock of birds in early July.
So we're just going to try that again to see if we can actually go into the barn without losing Wi-Fi, but it kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like. So Claire, maybe you could share with us how we got started, because obviously our size of our operation, kind of what we're doing, and as he said, this is our brooder barn. Hopefully everybody losing Wi-Fi. Okay. There we go. You're back.
So on our farm here, we have been growing turkeys on our farm for 11 years now. And we chose to start turkey farming after meeting some people that were also growing turkeys. And we decided it was an interesting venture for us to participate in. And we started off by growing 2,000 turkeys 4 times a year, or 8,000 birds a year. Right now, our farm, we are now producing 5,000 toms 4 times a year, 20,000 toms, which equates to about 300,000 kilograms of turkey.
So what's that mean? Put that to what people can actually understand when you go into the grocery store and buy turkey.
That's a good question. So what that means is, like I said, we grow the male birds. And the male birds are traditionally a larger turkey, and we grow them for 16 weeks here on our farm, and those birds get up to being, greater than 15 kilograms. So they are a large bird, not something that you will probably want to eat for your family Thanksgiving, in the sense that it's a very large family. Although Kathryn is looking at me saying we eat these large birds because we have large families, which is true, but for many consumers, you're choosing or often eating at Thanksgiving, you're eating turkeys that are usually the hen or the female bird, because they're a little bit smaller, a little bit less meat for more average sized families, I'll say that.
So one of the questions that just came through, and it's by 6x16, which actually our kids have kind of tried out it's a great initiative to try to get youth to understand how to cook and the basic essentials of cooking. So 6x16 is a great place to check out. So what are some of the ways that we like to eat turkey, and what are some of our favorite recipes?
Well, I think the thing is with turkey, one of the things that we look at when we started in our business is we look at how much turkey people consume. And in Canada, we're consuming in and around about 8 pounds or 4 kilograms of meat per person per year. And in the United States, they're actually consuming double that. And so what that shows is that there's many different ways to eat turkey, and what it means is that you can eat it with regards to ground turkey by way of turkey burgers, turkey meatballs. We like to eat it with, like I said, having turkey strips, having it cut up. This time of year has been great, being able to grill or to barbecue a turkey breast, which even one turkey breast will feed us, as a family of 6 very easily. And that's something that could have come off of our farm, in the sense that bird has been cut up into a portion size, which is great for people like yourself to be able to eat for a single meal, and maybe even have some leftovers that way.
I think you forgot our favorite recipe, which is actually having turkey inside lettuce wraps, and you'd be amazed. Our kids love that. It's kind of more of a Asian cuisine, using turkey with the lettuce as kind of a wrap versus your traditional carb, and that's something that goes over really well in our house. So hopefully that's question there. One other question we have here, Claire, is why did
turkey consumption will hopefully be able to increase over time, meaning families are still enjoying whole birds at a festive time, but we also want to have people eating turkey 365 days a year. And so that really is why we chose to grow the males, because that is how birds can be cut up and ultimately we can consume the meat. So Kathryn, what I think we should do is just pan and look at our brooder barn here.
So this is our brooder barn, and a brooder barn, for those that missed it earlier on, is where we start our turkeys off. And why is the brooder barn so important?
So the brooder barn is absolutely critical because, again, this is the starting barn. So for our turkeys that spend 16 weeks on our farm, or 4 months, the first month is spent in this first barn here. And what we're going to point out here is we actually have a couple things that are important. In the foreground here is our tractor, and this is a box that we have. So we actually have to move our 5,000 turkeys from our barn 1, from the brooder barn, to our grow out barn. And we pulled this out of the shed today to show you. And this is something that between Kathryn and myself, with our daughters and the help of the 2 neighbor boys that are helping here, we will move these turkeys in a morning over a course of a few hours from our first barn to our second barn, where they then spend the next 11 to 12 weeks in our grow out barn. And so let's we'll be able to go in and have a look at the actual birds here momentarily.
So you'll probably meet our girls later on. For volume reasons, we've kind of kept them in the house for a little bit here. But again, we have 4 girls, 10, 8, 6, and 2.5. And this is an opportunity at very young age. Obviously, they come out and they help us, and they start to learn skills that are helpful later on in their life. And we hope that will help them understand what work and hard work is, and sticking with something and having patience, because you definitely need patience when it comes to working with our animals and making sure that they're safe and healthy, and obviously so that they grow, which kind of comes into one of the questions that came in here, which is, are your turkeys used for butterball turkeys sold in the box?
So that is a great question. On our farm, no, our turkeys are not sold for butterball. However, there's many farms that are in the neighborhood where their birds absolutely do go to butterball. From a brand perspective, if you ever bought a Lilydale turkey, that would be a type of brand who we work with. However, at the end of the day, it's about turkey. It's all raised under very similar standards, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, we're just trying to encourage people to think turkey when they are cooking.
So Kathryn, I think it's just important to point out here 2 of our feed tanks. And so just understanding who we work with on our farm. Our poults are day-old poults that come in from Cuddy Farms, and we grow them here. Our feed, we work with an independent feed mill named Wallenstein Feed. They are a great business that has supported us over 11 years. They're also great supporters of Farm and Food Care. And they produce and they develop basically the diet for our turkeys to make sure that they hopefully stay healthy and nutritious, and make sure they have the adequate nutrients to be able to thrive. So that's the feed that comes in and is stored in these feed tanks here.
Yeah, we really appreciate the support from our various suppliers and the folks that we work with in the industry. Claire, before you go there, we've actually been asked, number one, if we grow other crops on our farms. They can probably see these things in the background here as well as the other part of the field. Can you just explain what's going on there for the one viewer?
Sure. Yep. So our farm here, we are on 80 acres on this particular site. We have another 100-acre farm just a kilometer up the road, and we grow 3 main crops. We grow corn, soybeans, and wheat. Again, I touched that the wheat straw, the straw is actually used for the bedding in our barn. The wheat is actually sold for milling. The corn and the soybeans, they are not necessarily sold directly into our own feed for our animals, but they are sold into the feed trade, and will go into feed for other animals in the industry. So those are the 3 things. We also grow, or the crops that are grown here are also used from the manure that we have on our land from the barns. And then the other thing just to point out here, there is a bit of a patch that you will notice, and give it 3 or 4 more months, and that will be our girls' pumpkin patch. That's something that we like to, they've done, this will be our 3rd year, where they've tried to grow pumpkins, sell them at the harvest time as well. So
try to also develop those entrepreneurial skills with the Doan Girls Pumpkin Patch. So we just had John, who's joined us from Leduc, Alberta. We have a couple other questions in regards to what is the biggest challenge of turkey farming.
Why don't we come inside? I think it's going to be a little bit sound-wise might be better.
So what's one of the important things? Obviously here it says no entry, biosecurity in effect. For those that perhaps were not on earlier, what does that mean, Claire?
Yeah, basically this means then that we like to have full control over who has access to our birds, which really is ourselves as the farmers. And because we just want to make sure that they aren't exposed to any unnecessary people or other issues.
So what room are we in now?
So this is our utility room. So this is the control aspect of our farm. A couple of things to point out here, obviously, is this is where our birds have full access to the water that comes in from our well here. We also have our ventilation system here, which is basically controls the fans and the heaters. And days like today, obviously, the heaters are not working at all. And our barn, and our grow-up barn here, is what we call a naturally ventilated facility. And so by natural ventilation, what we mean when we go in to have a look is that our curtains on the side of our barn are actually fully open, and they have a chance for fresh air to certainly circulate through the barn.
Okay,
on days
we
like
need to
today.
pause here for a second because we have some visitors joining us. So these are our girls that are excited to come and say hello. We'll just say hello to them quick outside before we go on a tour. Well, who are you?
I'm Carmen.
Okay.
I'm Cheryl. I'm Sophia.
And what do you like working and living on a dairy or on a turkey farm, not a dairy farm, a turkey farm? What is it that you like about living on a turkey farm?
I like helping out on the farm and getting to see the turkeys.
How about you?
I like moving the turkeys and trying to get around them.
Yeah, moving the turkeys, that's what you like, okay.
I like moving the turkeys and helping when the baby turkeys come, putting them in their pens.
Right, so what are baby turkeys called?
Chicks. Poults.
Poults, right. So that's actually a common question. What are small turkeys called? They are called poults. And here, Claire, what is it that you just obviously did on the ground there?
So with our biosecurity, it's important that we have separate footwear that we wear into our barn. I honestly prefer to wear Crocs. I think they're easy. We also have a foot bath here, which is a disinfectant that just helps keep everything clean and as absolutely possible, just to prevent any contamination into the barn.
And the disinfection has kind of a red tinge. That's just the color of the disinfectant.
So come on into the barn here.
I just need a minute to switch my boots. Again, biosecurity is really important, making sure that we don't bring diseases into our barn. And we'll show you, hopefully everybody can see. What barn is this, Claire?
So this is our turkey grow-up barn, and these birds are 7 weeks old today. These are...
Just gonna, yep. And we're sorry for the noise, but you definitely can't say quiet to turkeys. And to be honest, it's great that they come greet us at the door. It's something that shows a healthy turkey, that they're alert, they're very inquisitive, and obviously that's part of our operation of making sure that we have healthy, quality birds that we're raising. You'll probably have to stay close to us.
So there's some things that we want to point out here in our barn. So as you'll notice, our curtains here are completely open, and this will be most of the way of how these birds are raised really through well into the fall months. So this is again, what we call a naturally ventilated turkey barn. I absolutely love the environment just with regards to having fresh air for these birds. At the same time, there are screens to prevent any wildlife, wild birds, etc. from coming into our barn. At the same time, when it gets a little bit warmer, we certainly turn on our circulating fans to help increase air movement, which is important again from the cooling aspect of keeping our birds as comfortable as possible. But at the same time, we grow turkeys here in Canada, 365 days a year. So in the wintertime, we have the curtains which will be fully closed and they are insulated. And we have additional heat sources, which we use propane heaters to help keep the barn extra warm. And again, we care very much about the environment of our birds and how these birds are cared for. So that certainly has to do with air quality, but if we look from, say, the air to the ground, one of the things that is absolutely important for our livestock is that they have fresh, dry bedding.
Yeah.
And so what we use in our grow-out barn is straw that has been grown on our farm here. And this straw here is continually added or topped up, again, to make sure that the birds are comfortable and dry at all times. Other things that are important to look at.
So are there specific eating times for turkeys or access? Do you water them at certain times? That's a question that's coming in from the viewers.
So let's have a look at our watering system here. So in our barn, we have 3 watering lines. And these 3 water lines have access to water 24 hours a day. So these birds always have access to fresh water at all times. The next 2 feed lines, the next 2 lines in the barn are the feeders. And these turkey feeders have access again to the feed at all times. So on every feed unit, if the feeders get slightly empty, they're always replenishing and always filling back up. So that's important that our birds have access to space, they have access to water, and they have access to the feed.
So another question is, how big is this barn, and how high are the ceilings, and how often do you bed them? Because you mentioned that was important for their feet and keeping them clean.
Yeah, so our barn here is 60 by 336 feet long, so 20,000 square feet.
So 20,000 square feet. So why is it that large? And you can see that the birds came to greet us, but there's lots of space down there, lots of open space.
Because on our farm, and with every farm in Canada, we have a flock care program where we have to adhere to a high level of animal welfare, animal standards, and one of those criteria is that the birds have access to a certain amount of square footage. And so that square footage is that about 4 square feet per bird. So 5,000 birds, 20,000 square feet is the space requirements there. When it comes to height, the center of our barn is going on about 13 feet high. And we do have chimneys in our barn which do allow some of that hot air that rises to escape from the barn.
You can kind of see the square holes in the roof of what Claire's talking about, the chimneys, to be able to have great circulation of air within the barn and air quality.
And then when it comes to bedding, it certainly depends a little bit on the environment. And so when the air can be a little bit cooler in the wintertime and a little bit more moisture in the air, we have to add bedding a little bit more frequently, but we are adding bedding on an ongoing basis. So usually every couple of weeks we are adding and topping up the fresh litter. But at the same time, if the air turns very dry and the litter is dry, then we certainly require less.
So what's the best thing about being a turkey farmer? Does she want down?
Like this right here, we're a family farm. We like being able to raise our family and really be part of a business of helping to feed people, to produce a product which is healthy, which is nourishing, and which has been raised in a really sustainable way.
So you mentioned about a sustainable way. One of the questions came up was, do you work with veterinarians?
Yeah, so our farm, every farm has a veterinarian which is supporting them. Fortunately, our veterinarian is used when there are anything that needs to be supported. However, we can't use any sorts of medication or anything like that without the use of prescriptions. So every farm has to have a vet in order to be able to care for their birds and answer any questions when support is needed.
Okay. Okay, so I don't actually know how many minutes we've been going here, so I apologize. Maybe somebody could write that in the note for us. Honestly, if there's other questions that people have about turkey operation, please just ask us. Again, Claire mentioned that at the beginning. We're both very passionate about just helping have that connection with our consumer, recognizing that we are farmers. This is us live. We try to be very careful, obviously, with making sure that we are raising healthy, happy birds. And one of the questions that just came in, because I think we mentioned at the beginning, we both actually grew up on dairy farms. Why did we choose turkeys rather than continuing with a dairy operation?
Well, I think it comes down to one of the things in life we talk about is time, and you have to do things that you love and you enjoy. And so I probably have a more of an affiliation for actually working with the birds, and I think that's what you have to do in life. As a kid, I always had chickens, actually, so poultry was something that I always have had an interest in. And when Kathryn and I got looking at what we could do with our family, turkey farming was a good fit for us. And at the same time, something that people may not know is that Kathryn and I, we also work off of our farm. You know, that's something that we've had to do to help grow our farm over time, is to be able to have other sources of income to look after our family and to be able to grow, because, you know, growing food costs money and there's overhead costs to put into it, and that's where we like to certainly work hard and develop, I guess, something more of a legacy, I'll say, you know, for our family, for our future. And at the same time, given the fact that, again, it's a family, the values that our kids learn, I think, are second to none. So let's just get our girls here, if they're still around.
They were just changing their boots to be able to come into the barn. I think, like Claire said, we are wide open to questions. So often, sometimes there's not an opportunity to talk directly or have a connection with where your food comes from. This is our turkey farm. This is our family. If you guys want to go stand over by Dad. And we just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. And if there are questions, please let us know, and we'd be happy to connect with you. Reach out. Farm and Food Care is an excellent organization when it comes to providing quality, factual information about farming. Agscape is another organization that worked with us today, obviously, to put this on, providing educational materials into the classroom. So please reach out, ask questions. Girls?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Think turkey.